Hello, my name is David Parsons, also known as Di Turbo, locally where I come from in the South Wales Valleys. I'm an ordinary person, nobody special. I've done quite a few videos over the last 2 or 3 years on YouTube, different things, giving my ordinary working class opinion of life and what's going on in this world. Um, the budget was yesterday, and as expected, I knew what was going to happen, what was going to go down with what this Sunak or whatever his name is. This guy who self-proclaimed superstar who thinks he's high and mighty and thinks he's great. He's come from, brought up from a wealthy family with a wealthy background and well for himself. What have angered me over the last couple of years in this country called Great Britain. Now, there's a little bit of a background to all this. First of all, I grew up in a country in Great Britain where we're supposed to help each other out. The strong's supposed to look after the weak, or not supposed to, but are encouraged to. And the Great Britain I grew up in the 70s and 80s, as I'm 40, coming up 49 years of age now, I was always under the impression that one of the facts was about what made us such a great country was the diversity and the fact that we were very tolerant and helpful. I've seen a big difference over the last 40, 50 years in my life and all that have totally changed my attitude and my mindset towards that. So I'm going to start by giving a little brief detail about myself. Now, I left school in 1989. I had no qualifications. I had enough common sense to know that working in a poor area in the South Wales with the pits closing down and steelworks closing down and just about everything else that come with that, I had enough sense to know that life for someone who struggled in school, even though I'd done my best, the life wasn't going to be easy. And by God, I was right at the age of 16. I look back on my life over the last 32 years of working, and it's been one hell of a roller coaster, and there's certainly been a lot more downs than ups. I can assure you on that. Over the 40 years that I've lived in the valleys, I recently wrote a book 2 years ago called How Mean Is My Valley, and it was about me suffering with different problems like mental health and learning difficulties and stuff, which I didn't even find out I had until roughly about 14, maybe 15 years ago. How tough it is to live in a poor area. I also, in this book, wanted to give people an idea, not so much an in-depth idea, but an idea of what Britain, or supposedly Great Britain, really is like for a lot of people who struggle. Now, I think it's common sense to believe that everybody in life, wherever you are in the world, whether you live in Africa, India, Australia, America, Europe, Asia, wherever, it's common sense to want better for yourself. Nobody wants to live in poverty. Nobody wants to live and struggle all their lives and suffer with the kind of things that me and a lot more people around the world like I have suffered with. But we can't always succeed. And it angers me when these successful people point their fingers down at people like us and say, well, you can succeed if you work harder. If we all could succeed in life, if we all could do well for ourselves, we all be multi-millionaires in the world, would be perfect. But life isn't like that. Life is set up by these people deliberately for 90, I'd say 96, probably 97% of us in this world to fail. And I'm not ashamed to say that I failed. I ended up working in low-paid jobs, and that set me up for my whole work in life to this date. In and out of low-paid jobs, being treated like, well, basically being treated like shit. Having to put up with all sorts of nonsense, pride stripped away, dignity stripped away, all for just keeping your head above water. And in the process of keeping my head above water, being on such low incomes because of different issues and different problems that I've had to deal with, I ended up getting myself further and further into debt to a point where over the last 4 or 5 years, I've now had to declare myself bankrupt. I've got a DRO, debt relief order in place. and I'm now out of work suffering with mental health, and in the process of being amongst a family of people who are suffering with mental health, and also looking after my 100-year-old father, who looks at this world right now and looks at this country in disgrace. He's seen the good times and he's seen the bad times. He worked, he left school when he was 14, and he worked as a miner when the World War II was on, and he said on a number of occasions that people have fought and died for this country then would never fight and die for their country now. Politicians over the last 40 or 50 years have failed this country miserably. 2 radio stations, because I'm a big fan of debate, and I believe that we are very, very slowly having our life sucked out of us, and freedom of speech and freedom of everything is being taken and stripped away from this poor, decrepit country called Britain now. I've been listening to a lot of radio stations that do debates, like London Radio Station, which I absolutely listen to nearly every night. Not because I love the channel, but because I just can't believe in disbelief the people that, one, phone in, sticking up for the people that kick us down, and 2, for the people on these radio stations that absolutely loathe people like me who have failed in life, who have failed miserably in life. Now, at the tender age of 48, coming up 49 years of age, I have now got the attitude in life that if you are not supporting yourself, if you are not earning a wage, or you are not earning money for someone else, if you are on any kind of benefit or any kind of income support benefit, that these people higher up will look down their noses at people like me who they class as undesirable. They want rid of us. They want us out of the system. We shouldn't be burdening them. We shouldn't be costing them money. The £70 odd a week that I get, they'd rather be putting into somewhere else, maybe another party up in 10 Downing Street, maybe. But as far as I'm concerned, I got every right, just like anybody else. I wasn't born into this world by chance. I didn't have no choice. I was born into this world, and I have every right, just like anybody else have, should be proud to live in this country. But I am absolutely disgusted with the state this country is in. I am absolutely disgusted with the bullshit that goes on, and the people that constantly vote these idiots into government year in, year out, listening to the false promises, and then when they finally realise that their false promises are never going to turn into fruition, absolutely stick up for them because they have nothing else to do but to believe that somehow everything is going to come right. So here we go up to date. Yesterday in the budget, one thing I noticed straight away with everything that's going on. Now, I'm a strong believer. Now, I know a lot of people got this attitude around the world that if you have an opinion, a strong opinion about something, then you have to back it up with evidence. Well, I don't believe in evidence anymore because evidence, like everything else in this world, can be corrupt, tainted, and doesn't matter who got evidence about anything. It's all now down to what you believe and what you want to believe. Well, I don't believe in something because I want to believe it. I look around me. What teaches me and what earns me about who I trust, what I believe, what I don't believe, is my environment, what's around me. I have struggled all my work in life, and I have always done my best to keep my head above water and to go over the rules and the regulations, pay my taxes, pay my bills, but I have failed miserably, and I don't mind admitting it. And I'm not ashamed to admit it. I'm absolutely angry about it. Because this system is set up deliberately in this country to push people like me, and there are millions like me up and down the country and all around the world that are struggling and will always struggle because the hierarchy that absolutely keeps people like us down and treats us like ants, lower than ants, in fact. Well, yesterday what I noticed and what I expected really was, with everything that's going on, with, of course, the built-in excuses. Well, we've got a war now. We've got a war out in Ukraine, and now all this, we've got to put money into that, and we've got this. That's causing all the petrol and everything else to go sky high. No, believe me, ladies and gentlemen, or whoever's listening to this, I can assure you on this. They can come up with excuses that things have happened in the last couple of months and maybe in the last year or two since the pandemic. But this has been building up in this country for a long, long time, decade after decade, whether it's Conservatives or Labour, they're all the same. They all promise you one thing. And democracy is an absolute 110% lie. You're given the privilege to vote these people in, and once they're in, they do basically what they want. And all they do is one thing, two things, sorry. And then one is to protect themselves and protect their own incomes, and two, protect the people above them who are pulling the strings, the super wealthy. And it'll never change in my lifetime, and I can't see it changing in 1,000 years' time, 2,000 years, or 10,000 years. I've had an epiphany over the last few years. I've woken up to the reality that things are never going to get better. It's nice to have optimism. It's nice to have hope. But when hope disappears and optimism disappears, all you have left then is realism, reality. People are suffering all over this country. We call Great Britain, and I can't see anything that's great about it. I can't see anything that is good about this country anymore, other than the people that constantly take, and not give back. You've got people up and down this country, even now, people who have worked all their lives, that have done better than me and have been more wiser probably than me, that are now absolutely struggling and pulled into this chaos that is consuming this country, that are struggling now to make ends meet. Young people, young families having the struggle to make ends meet, not even knowing if they can feed their kids or feed themselves today, tomorrow. And that's without the now luxury of having to heat your home and use gas and electric. Food banks. Only once in my lifetime have I ever seen anything resembling food banks, and that was when people were giving food parcels in the miners' strike, and I was a young kid when that happened. And I never thought I'd see the day where food banks would be a regular thing, and homeless people on the streets who don't even get a look in, who don't, only around Christmas time do these lovely people from the Salvation Army come out and say, give £30 Christmas and we'll give them a cooked dinner and let them stay in our place for a day or two, and then they're back out on the streets. Yesterday, that Sunak and his lovely puppet master, Boris Johnson, Krusty the Clown, as I'd call him. These people sat in the House of Commons giving the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my lifetime and saying about how great everything was. And they were cutting this and they were cutting that. And they were going to give us a tax cut in 2 years' time, just before the election. 1p. Are these people real? Because wherever they say, they are not on the same planet as I am living. No way in hell. Now, one thing I noticed that didn't anger me yesterday, didn't surprise me, didn't shock me, but something that people need to look up to. I had one of the popular, the two guys on Sky News that always, they work for two of the most popular newspapers, if anybody read newspapers now, say last night that there are 1 million jobs out there and these people are really struggling and all that. They need to get themselves into work. If it's that simple, they just don't, at the end of the day, they just don't get it. It's just they don't care. They have the built-in excuses, 1 million jobs, so everybody should be doing well. And it's the biggest lot of bullshit going, and we all know what they're doing and what they're saying. Yesterday afternoon, he decided not to help anybody on any kind of benefits, whether you're suffering with mental health and depression and ADHD and dyslexia like I am, or you haven't got no arms, or you haven't got no legs, you've got any kind of disability whatsoever, no help whatsoever. So we are thrown, not just on a scrap heap, we are just basically told to go away. We're not going to help you, go away, just die. What these people don't realize is these super wealthy people that look down their noses and point their fingers, and these middle class people that think if they got £10 in their pocket that they're better off than you. What these people don't realize is people like us just don't go away. We're always going to be here. And that'll never change. So what I strongly believe is now is the fact that they've ignored us and they ain't helping us out. And they can make up all excuses going. All excuses going. They don't realise that they're storing up big trouble for themselves, because over the next year, I reckon you're going to see total anarchy and chaos when this really cuts in and starts hurting people. Come September and October, when the cold sets in again and things get really, really hard, this government ain't going to know what's going to hit them, because people are going to turn on these people because they have had enough. They're decade after decade, they are lying through their stinking teeth. All this nonsense about putting sanctions on Russia, it's the biggest load of crap going. They have got shares in these companies that are run by Russia. Dirty money floating around Britain and have done since World War II. And they all got dirty hands. Every single last one of the scumbucking people. They are trying to cripple people like us and people like me. Well, they might think, and the Department of Work and Pensions, who pay me my little £70 a week, blood money perhaps, they might want rid of me, but I ain't going to go away. So what I'm going to do every single week, due to the mental state that I'm in, and due to the fact that, I got a lot of issues that have built up over a lot of time that I've never had no help from in this beautiful Dallas-like world we live in for a country. I'm going to give a little bit of a sort of an online diary about what I think of things, and you can see how my mental health is, whether it gets worse, whether it gets better. And I'm going to let people know, if I'm to go, if my life is to end in the next few months, next few years, because of what this fantastic Conservative government and their cronies are doing to people like us, squeezing us out, the undesirables, squeezing people out because they're not as good as them, or they're not as clever as them, or they don't work as hard as them. That's all you get now. If you're failing in life, that means you're not working hard enough. Absolute biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard in my entire life. Not everybody can succeed. Like I said, if we all could succeed, we'd all be multi-millionaires doing well, and we all be walking around with smiles on our faces. These people really now need to be brought and made accountable for what they're doing. They created this PPE, all the money that's been invested into this pandemic that have been wasted, companies and people connected to the government that have been given backhanders and given lots, millions and billions of pounds that we got to pay back to make a company just because they know somebody who works in the House of Commons. These people need to be made accountable. And I can tell you something now. My voice, I'm an ordinary person, nobody special, and no big deal, and not a celebrity. I haven't got no background whatsoever. All I can say is this, is I got a voice, and I'm going to use that voice. And every opportunity I get, I'm going to run these people down and let everybody know what I think about what is going on in this country. Great Britain, and as far as Scotland's concerned, do you know what? I genuinely and I believe and hope that they do go and split as a country, because they deserve that, because the rest of Britain's not doing them any favours. Absolutely not do it. They're ashamed now to be classed United Kingdom. It's an absolute joke. Absolute joke. Sat there watching our news yesterday afternoon saying Boris Johnson patting Sunak on the back, telling him, oh, you've done a fantastic job, you've done a great job. They're killing people like me. Number 10 is public enemy number 1 as far as I'm concerned. And these people really do need to be brought to accountable for what they've done. As far as I'm concerned, what this government and what other governments have done over the last 20, 30 years, these people ought to be locked behind bars for war crimes towards this country. Hitler, Putin, all these bad people, all these so-called evil people that are running around the world over the last 100 years, they couldn't have done a worse job doing damage to this country than what this idiot clown have done. And I can't believe people in this country really need to wake up and need to wake up fast to what is going on around them. How they can stick up for these clowns is absolutely beyond me. What kind of sheep are we got living in this country now? There is something scarily wrong with this country now. And I will make the first prediction of the year for this. There is going to be uproar before the end of this year. And if that government genuinely are not believe that they got any chance of getting in next time, I don't believe for 1 second they are. Even though I don't believe the government, the Labour Party as they are now, is any good or got anything worth giving or supporting this country to get us off our knees. We are £2.5 trillion in debt. Guess who's going to end up having to pay that? Well, the good news is this. They can squeeze us. It's like me, I'm out of work. I apparently could have been sanctioned yesterday. But for people like me, when I'm squeezed to a point where I got no money and I can't eat and I can't survive, that's it then. That makes me a dangerous person. You can't do any more to somebody when you squeeze them that much. You can't keep taking off poor people in a way that they're doing this now without something happening. It's like the famous saying, and it's common sense to know it's been scientifically seen right the way around the world right from the past right away to the future. Every action gets a reaction. They keep doing it until somebody will put a stop to these people. This has to stop. And it's joke where we'll give £300 to this person, give £400 to that, and I'll help them out, I'll make things better. It's rubbish. And we all know it is. All these people are cheerleaders for themselves, and they're juggling about money that isn't really theirs. It's the biggest con of the century. We live in a democracy, a democratic country. Over my dead body do we. There's no way in hell are we live in any kind of democracy. This Sunak got about 4 or 5 houses, and yeah, he probably worked hard enough for it, and good on him. How can he relate to my situation? Someone who have struggled all my working life, but have done my best, my level best, and have now failed. Time have caught up with me because of my mental health issues and the fact I suffer with dyslexia and now I have no help in school or out of school. Suffer with ADHD and can't even get properly diagnosed for it, like even get any kind of help. That's the Britain I live in. These people are absolutely worthless. They look down at their noses, down at me, but I look straight back up. I'm not ashamed of the situation and who I am, but I'm ashamed of the people running this country and the people that are laughing and joking. Poor people having to look through the window at their dying mother and father while they're partying it up in number 10. And then you've got people now saying, there are more bigger issues to worry about. We shouldn't be going on about parties. It's an absolute disgrace. I feel sorry for them poor people in World War I and World War II that put their lives on the line. Young men that didn't see any kind of life whatsoever, sacrificed their lives for us, for this. God help it. So anybody's interested in what I got to say or whether they want to criticize me or not, it's entirely up to them. I got an opinion, and all I say is this. Anybody who want to argue with what I got to say is this. Wait and see, because we're in for one hell of an interesting year, and you think the way this first 2.5 months are kicked off, believe me, this is only the start. There's a lot more to come. It's going to be 2022 is going to be one of the biggest years in our history. It's going to be a lot. This is only the start. And I can tell you something now. These people, if they end up suffering like I hope they suffer, they deserve every single bit of it that they get. You can't be proud to live in a country that treats you like this. And you can't think people are your friends when they're trying to kill you, trying to starve you. Disgraceful. You hear of things like that going on in China and India and Africa where they're having to walk 10, 15 miles to pick up a barrel or a container of dirty water to drink. Is that what we're heading in Great Britain? But let's see what kind of year we're going to have. 2022 GB. United Kingdom. Let's see how united it is. So my name's Di Turbo. I'll give some more details keep your ear out on YouTube and have a look at Sunik's phone in from last night on London radio. Get it on YouTube and have a listen to the crap that this man comes out to when you've got people, poor young girls, asking how are they going to make ends meet with everything that's going on, and this money that they're throwing at people saying that that's going to help out. We all know where that money's going to go. Nobody else is going to see it. But I can tell you something now. If I'm gonna die because of the way I'm being treated by this people in this country, I'm gonna die letting people know what this country is and what it means to this upper class people that look down their noses with their Cambridge and their Eton and their Oxford University education. Let me tell you something right now before I, as the saying goes, sign off. There are more of us than there are of them. So take care. And remember this. Every single time that you have a bad day and you can't afford to pay a bill or you can't afford to feed your kids, remember this. It's not your fault. Take care. I just had that GB on. That Sunik was on the radio last night on GB radio. All right. You do good, you boy.